Naam, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, amazing parents. Good evening. It's another Friday. I'm so excited. Everyone knows that Friday is usually an exciting day for me. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm trying to see the Miss Fatima. I saved the name with a particular thing that says Magic Key Empire. I'm not sure if I'm right about the name. Thank you so much for joining me. Right, before we go on, we'll wait just a few minutes, then we'll go on today's session, inshallah. Please kindly share this link with every other parent that are on your platform. Kindly share it on your Instagram story, on your Facebook story, on your WhatsApp status. Please kindly help us to do that so that we're going to, meet more parents. I am Marifa Omalala Otalori, and I'm the founder of the Loves Parenting. And yes, it's our Friday live every Friday by 5 p.m. West African time. We're always here, giving nudges. I wouldn't say tips because I already said it that parenting does not have tips and hacks, right? Even if tips and hacks work for you, it's momentarily. It's not something that's going to last a lifetime, right? So here we're always sharing, parenting nudges to parents, to intentional parents. And here we have today, this evening again. Thank you so much for joining me, Miss Idaya. Right, yes. So, like I said before, kindly help us share this link to other parents. Let us meet other parents. Let them also come and benefit from this session. And before I go on, please kindly confirm to me that you can hear me loud and clear before we go on to this session. Kindly share with me that you can hear me and you can see me before we go on this session. Right, if you can actually, if you can join the if you can join the discussion room, kindly do that. And I think everyone who has been here before should be able to join the discussion room. Thank you so much for joining me, Miss Aminat. And today we're going straight into this session, right? But before we go, let me remind us again to kindly share this and invite other parents. Let them also benefit from this. If you've been coming here, every day. Okay, thank you, Miss Daya. You can hear me. But if you've been coming here every Friday, thank you, Miss Fatima. You definitely know that there is value in whatever it is that is being shared. It's not just about tips and acts, it's about positioning yourself to actually intentionally nurture your children, right? And of course, it's free of charge. So why won't you invite other parents? Sulaim, it's been longer. You saw you join us live. I hope everything is fine with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Right. So please kindly share the link and let them also come and join us. And today we're going to be talking about the 5 strategies to help your child's learning process. Right, 5 strategies to help your child's learning process. And this session, inshallah, we're going to be talking about the things, the tools that will actually, to help us to actually make our children learn. Let them see learning as something that should be continuous, not something that should come with fear, not something that should come with frustration, not something that should come with struggle. Because if we do not do that, then that means we're setting our children up for them not having that love to learn, right? So we're going to be talking about the things that we actually need to put in place so that learning processes can be easy for our children, right? So let's get right into it without wasting time. So I said this session is designed to equip parents with strategies and resources to support their children's learning process in order for them to thrive in academics and in life, most importantly, right? So I have noticed that some of the problems that I have seen when it comes to learning is, you know, is parenting igniting that ideology that learning is something that is done just to pass exam or just to pass exam or just to have grades. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't know who has joined me on YouTube. I can see that you're here. Kindly share with me where you're streaming live from. Let me get to meet you and let's get to connect. Let's welcome you here into our community. Thank you so much for joining me here on YouTube. All right. So a lot of the time, it's not our fault as parents. It's just what was passed down to us. And like I always say, that we won't be able to pass better things to our children if we do not have them. It is just what our parents passed down to us. That's what we're going to pass down to our children. And unfortunately, those things didn't really serve us. We need to call a spade a spade. Those things didn't really serve us, and we need to do better, right? I'm still expecting, to welcome that person who has joined me here, right? on YouTube, right? So it's also, you know, uh, another problem that I have seen, another challenge that I have seen is that we feel that, learning for our children should be something that only teachers are responsible for. Only the school, let me put it that way. Only the school are responsible for, and they are expected to take charge of it and do it excellently without our own interference. We feel that once I have found the best of school for my children, once I am paying their school fees, I have bought them books and all of those things, then it's okay. Then I've done my part, right? That's another problem. That's another challenge that we also need to face while talking about learning processes for our children, right? Parents, a lot of parents fail to know that it is first of all, you see, this pushing it to teachers is not it. It is first of all our own responsibility as parents, as we are the first teachers of our children. I would appreciate if someone can help me put that in the comment section. We are first of all the teachers. We are the first teachers of our own children. And the school is just playing a part. They're just playing a part of the children's learning process. We are the one that should take full charge of it. This is something that we need to know moving forward. Yes, the school is just a part, just a very small part of it. And the major thing should actually be done by us, the parents. There are several reasons why this is something that we should, look into. We need to be aware that if a child isn't learning at home, the child will struggle to learn in school. And that's why we are the first parent. We are the first teacher, sorry, right? If a child is not learning at home, that child will find it difficult to learn in school. That's just it. So before we have that mindset that I have chosen the best school, I have done this, I have done that, you want to ask yourself, first of all, is my child really learning at home? Because if a child is not learning at home, the child is going to struggle to learn in school. And that's why we are the first teachers for our children, right? So we need to know that. If we want to, because I love that we reflect so much when we're having conversations like this, because from our reflections we'll be able to bring out a lot of things from it, right? So you'll find out that a lot of us pass examinations. A lot of us finish with very good results. We finish with the first class, we finish with the second class, we finish with 2-2, and all of those things. And some of us still find it difficult to find something to do for ourselves to excel or to succeed. Yes, that's something that is very common. I like to say that a lot of the time, we don't think about all of these things, not until when we finish schooling, we finish NYSC, then we now start thinking, okay, what is that thing that I want to start doing? What is that thing that I want to do? What is it that I want to do for myself? Right? So a lot of us passed examination, but the truth is that we didn't really learn because we were just cramming to pass examinations. We were just reading. I wouldn't say we were learning, because when you learn, it stays with you. But when you just read to pass examination, immediately we finish that exam, that's the end. We either forget it or we don't even care about it anymore. So a lot of us, of course, your children might be passing examination, but they might not be learning. I would appreciate if someone can help me put that in the comment section. Your children can actually be passing examination, but they are not learning. Yes, it's possible, and I will explain as we go forward on in this session. But before we go on again, please kindly invite other parents to also come and benefit from this, right? So, like I said, that a lot of us pass examination and we finish with a very good result, but we haven't been able to, harness the joy of learning. We have not found joy in learning. As a matter of fact, so many people have even attached pain, hurt to actually studying. That's the truth. Maybe because while we were very young, we were beaten or we were shamed. We were called Olodo. So it made us to attach hurt. It made us to attach pain into that. Thank you, Miss Idaya. Right. So a lot of us, we haven't find that joy in learning. And that's why I said it, in a post that I made during the week, that we find out that immediately after we finished from the university, from wherever it is that we've had our tertiary institution of our tertiary education, we find out that we find it very difficult to pick a book and read. We find it difficult to attend seminars that are free. We find it difficult to attend conferences. even when we feel that, okay, yes, this thing is something that is going to be, that is, going to be very important to me. My child is definitely going to learn from this. If I know, or I will learn from this, it's going to help me. And we even struggle to pay for those courses. This is something that I have experienced firsthand. I know people that they pay for courses, but they find it very difficult to follow through. They find it very difficult. Yes, it's understandable that you might not have time to, join the live session when it is being held and all of those things. But if you're actually eager to learn, if you're yearning to learn, you definitely go back to whatever it is that you have missed and catch up on it. But we find out that a lot of adults find all of these things difficult. And we same adults want to raise children who are tops of their class, who are doing very well, who don't make mistakes, and things like that. Expectations that are not possible, right? So if everyone sees, the Olodo in that class, and you as a parent, we all know the story of Thomas Edison, right? Where was it Thomas Edison? I think I'm mistaking the name right now. I'm not sure. Thomas Edison is the inventor of light bulb. When I remember the name, I'm going to talk. I'm going to mention it. When he came back from home with a particular letter, and it was said that he wasn't expected to come to school again because he's too slow, he doesn't learn, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. You see, if everyone that come in contact with your child, unfortunately, even teachers, when they come in contact with your child and they tag them Olodo, and they don't, they don't see the side that actually can learn in that child, you should be able to stand up for your child and say, no, my child is not dumb. But then, before you can actually come out to say that your child is not dumb, you actually have tools in your toolkit to actually help your child to prove that your child is not dumb. But unfortunately, if you do not have the resources that it takes to actually do that, it's going to be very difficult. I'm sorry, I forgot that I didn't start recording on the, on our Telegram channel, and I will start to do that right now. I'm sorry about that. Right. Sorry about that. I think we're back now. Right. So if everyone doesn't see that positive side, that strength of your child, if all they see is the weakness and the weakness in your child, you should be able to spot the strength in your child. You should be able to guide your child and bring out that best in your child. But unfortunately, if you do not have the knowledge to actually do it, you also come to the conclusion that your child is dumb, your child can't learn, your child can't read, your child can't do anything, and you also tag the child along. So you can imagine one who is supposed to be, the person who is in that space, who is cheering you on, who is actually helping you to, who is supposed to help you to grow, giving up on you. You can imagine how that looks like, right? So that is why, as parents, we need to be equipped with the things that we actually need to give our children. And the truth is that a lot of the things that we pay attention to, that we feel that is the most important thing that our children learn, is actually not the most important thing. This is something that I keep saying every time, and I can prove it with everything. The things that we pay attention to as parents are not the things that we should actually pay attention to. You want a child to write 1 to 100, you want them to be able to read ABC, to, things like that. They're actually not the main things that we should actually pay attention to. And that's why in our upcoming learning style course, we're going to be talking about the age appropriate things that you should pay attention to nurture your children as they grow. But then if you don't have it, you can't give it. If you don't know it, there's no how you want to teach it to your children. So if everyone does not see the strength in your child and all they can see is the weakness in your child, you should be the one to, vouch for your child. You should be the one to speak for your child that no, you know that that child is not born dumb. And it's not just about bragging. It's about having the skills to actually bring out that strength that is in your child, right? So if you can't fight and vouch for your child, no one else will be able to do that. That's the truth. No one else, because even teachers that we pay attention to, that we feel that, okay, yes, they are the ones that should do everything, they also have their own children. And the least they can, or the highest they can do, is just in the four walls of the classroom, right? So you need to be there. You need to be an advantage to your child. If you are being an advantage to your child, is something you intentionally become, not by assumption, but with the appropriate knowledge. Yes, if you want to be in that place whereby you are an advantage to your child, you need to, you need to intentionally be that advantage for your child. Because if you do not build yourself with the necessary knowledge and resources to be that advantage for your child, there's going to be a problem. The only thing you can give to your child is what you have. If you don't have it, you can't give it. A lot of the, if you listen to, top level, executives, owners of big businesses and all of those things, they will tell you one particular advantage that they've gotten from, that they've got from their parents that made them who they are. Is either they tell you that, my parents exposed me to entrepreneurship very, very early. My parents, exposed me. We read a lot in our home. We did so much in our home. My father knows this person, who knows this person, who helps me through this. There will definitely be an advantage. And that's why I keep saying you have to position yourself. You have to intentionally position yourself to be that advantage to your child. And to be an advantage to your child, you need to reflect on certain questions, which I'm going to be posting, I'm going to be sharing today, before diving into that main discussion of the 5 strategies that you need to help your children, to help your child's learning process. Right. So you want to ask yourself, the reflection question for today is, am I parenting, am I a parenting advantage to my child, or am I a parenting disadvantage to my child? Or am I even trying to position myself to be an advantage to my child? And how am I doing that? When we say that becoming an advantage for your child is not something that is perfect, it could just be because of the books that you have provided for them to read. It could just be because of the educational resources that you have provided for them early enough. It could just be because of that knowledge that you have gained very early, such that you don't get to struggle with certain things. It could just be that. It could just be the people you know. Yes. I know that it's not everyone that has that advantage of, yes, I know this person that know this person, that know this person. But the little things that we can do, like buying good books that are different from school books for our children, by, exposing them to educational materials that are actually going to help them, exposing them to games that are actually going to help them, might be that advantage that your child needs. It might be that advantage that your child needs, right? So another question you want to ask yourself is that, is my own environment designed in a way that helps my child to thrive and not just survive? A lot of us, our environment actually makes our children to just survive, not thrive. Once they can, they have a place to sleep, they can wear, they have clothes to wear, they have, food to eat, it's okay, right? That's what we feel. We feel, that's enough. And they are going to the best school, maybe that's enough. But you want to ask yourself, is your own environment, is it suitable for your child enough for them to, to actually learn? Not just a place for them to survive, but a place for them to thrive. These are questions you want to ask yourself. Have you arranged the setting of your house in a way that your child is going to be an advantage for your child? You have a toddler and you have everything placed around, and when something breaks from your toddler, or your toddler picks up something and breaks it, you start to scream, you start to beat that child. That environment is not conducive for that child. It means that you have only put down the setting to actually be of benefit to you and maybe the guests that are coming to visit you, and not necessarily your toddler, not necessarily your child. Do you have a library, even if it is somewhere small for your child, a reading corner for them to read? So you want to ask yourself, is my environment designed in a way that helps my child to thrive and not just to survive? And these things can be done with just silent and deliberate programming, even if you are not the reading type, of which you might not have a choice than to do it, because children will do whatever it is that you model to them. Right? Have you silently designed your home in a way that your children don't have a choice than to pick a book and read? So you have to silently and deliberately program your house in a way that your children will definitely learn from that environment, right? And something that I love to say is that all of us are a product of programming. All of us are a product of programming. If there's a particular belief that you have now, if there's a particular thing you do consistently now, and you are doing it so well, it's a thing of programming. You have been programmed. You have been wired to do that thing when you were very young. And that's why we said that you can either be an advantage for your child or a disadvantage for your child. What are you for your child? We're all a product of programming. Well, I decided to ask my dad one day that what exactly do you think I loved to do when I was small? And he didn't think so far. I said, you loved to read. And I remember that my father, when I grew, my father also loved to read. Whenever he's going to work in the morning, I remember that time, he will leave home very early just because he wants to branch in a newspaper, place, and he wants to read. You know those places now where they will just go read, they will talk about football, talk about everything that is going on, things like that. I saw him did that. Then there was something because he was working with, it was NEPA, then now PHCN. He will come up with lots and lots of papers, bills, and all of that, and he will keep working on it. He was working with books, and I caught that from him. Sorry. So it was a programming. He didn't know. It was just his own was not deliberate, but I was seeing it, and I thought these things are something is something that is useful. Also from my mother, I took journaling from my mother. My mom writes so much. She writes, see, she has lots of books. She writes virtually everything. Everything. Anything she doesn't want to forget, anything she wants to go back to, anything at all, she writes. So I picked that from her. That's to tell us that we are a product of programming. It is whatever it is that we have seen our parents or the people we look up to do while we were very young, we'll pick it. And that's why we wouldn't have a choice than to actually put our, and that's why I said that intentionally raising your children will make you first before it makes your children. It will make you first because you're a model to your child, right? So the ability to learn is actually learned. And there are different things that plays a role in your children's willingness to learn and their overall disposition. So learning is something that is learned. You are not just going to wake up to the fact that your child is just learning. It is, you actually need to teach them how to learn, not just teach them to read or to study to pass examinations. You actually need to teach them how to learn if you want them to learn. So it is something that is learned. So what are these disposition? The ability to learn is actually, learned. And there are different things that play a role in your child's willingness to learn and their overall disposition, like their individual personality. You see, the personality of a child needs to be understood. You need to know who you are raising. You need to know who you are parenting for you to be able to parent them the right way. And that's why psychologists will tell you that two children do not have two parents. Two children will have biological parents who are from, the same parent. They don't have two parents. They don't have the same parent. I don't know if you understand. They don't have the same parent. They are saying this not because, there's a discrepancy or there's something, but they are saying this because they're just trying to explain that the way you are going to treat child A will be different from the way you are going to treat child B. Not because of anything, but because they have different personality. They learn differently. They have different love language. They have different temperaments. So you need to be in that space whereby you understand the child you want to raise. That is what is going to give you that, that will give you the things that you need to do. And that's why people come and complain that. I think this is where that saying comes from, that, there is no effort. There's nothing like your effort does not really count when it comes to raising your children, because you see that a child who was raised by the same parent and another child who was still raised by the same parent, they turned out to be different. Of course, they will turn out to be different because if you are treating them the same way and they don't have the same personality, they will actually, there will be a problem. So you need to understand that whatever it is that they are going to learn, it's based on the way they learn, their individual personality, their learning style. This is something that we need to know. And we also need to know that we need to teach from strength to weakness, not from weakness to strength. But a lot of time, we try to teach from weakness to strength. The things that our children are struggling with, those are the things that we focus on. Those are the things we pay attention to. Your child is struggling with mathematics. You tell the child to have an extra lesson teacher. You tell the child to have an extra lesson in school. Then the child will still come and continue solving math. No. So you can't teach a child from weakness to strength. There's a saying that if it's a popular saying, but it's not coming to me right now. I might not say it verbatim, that if you judge a fish by its ability to climb, it will die thinking that it's dumb, because fish is not designed to jump. They are designed to swim. So that's the same thing for children. If you judge a child based on their ability, based on their disability, you're going to call that child dumb, and that child is actually not dumb. It's the same thing. So you need to consider their personality. You need to consider their learning style. You need to consider, their love language before you can decide even so many things, how to discipline them, how to teach them, how to guide them, and all of those things. And this is the main reason why understanding your child's unique way of learning. That's why this course is put to play for parents to be able to come and understand their children. I can't tell you, everything that we're going to be talking about in this session, but it's not something that we should take with levity. It's something that we should actually come and learn about. Right? This is something that is important. The learning style course is important. Please be there. The temperament of your child is something that should be considered to when you're talking about their learning. It plays a big role in the willingness to learn and the overall disposition when it comes to schooling and learning. It plays a big role. Right. So now let's now go after those reflective questions. Like I said, you want to think about it. Am I parenting? Am I an advantage for my child? Am I positioning myself to be an advantage for my child? Right. Another question you might want to ask is that, is your own environment designed in a way that it becomes an advantage for your child? Right. So let's now go into those 5 strategies that you need to help your child's learning process. Don't forget, we're not talking about passing examinations. We're talking about learning process. We want to raise children that even when they are not going to school, even when no one is forcing them to do anything, they're in that place whereby they keep learning because they understand that learning is for life. Even the Russell Peace be upon him said that we should seek knowledge from cradle till death. How will we be able to do that if we do not find the joy in learning? If we do not understand the fact that, learning is something that should be continuous. So we won't be able to seek knowledge from cradle till death. We won't be able to do it. This is something that we need to learn, and we need to also teach it to our children. Right. So let's talk about the 5 strategies that we need to help that child, our children's learning process. The first thing is that you need to create an atmosphere of reading. You don't have a choice. You need to create an atmosphere of reading. And if we're saying you should create an atmosphere for reading, it is not just creating that atmosphere for your children. No, you have to cultivate that habit as a parent too. Reading is key to success. That's one thing that we need to know. Yes, that's like the human factor it's a human factor when it comes to success. Yes, a lot of us believe in destiny so much. We feel that, okay, yes, whatever it is that you do, yes, only if Allah puts his Rama and all of those things. But then we know that there's a place of striving. And one of those places when it comes to our children learning, when it comes to us learning, is reading. Reading is a key to success. And, inshallah, our upcoming, inner circle tribe, we're going to actually have books that we'll read to review. This is something that we want parents to cultivate so that they can also take their children along, because it is something that is important. We I've termed it our village. That's going to be our village. To be a part of this, you just need to register. It's just 50,000 naira, and this is per year. There are so many things that are coming with it. You are going to be getting daily disciplinary and connection tools that you're going to be having with your children. We are going to be having, webinars. Webinars fortnightly. That's 2 times in a month. Right? We're going to be having book reviews. We're going to be rubbing minds. We're going to be having, scenario-based, learning, whereby we'll come with so many things to put into perspective, talk about the things that we need to do, talk about the things that we're not supposed to do. This is going to be a whole lot. To be a part of this, you have the, we have the information here already. So you just want to register. Try to register. I'm announcing this because I want people to be able to pay in installments, right? The information to register is showing on the screen right now. So you want to, go through it, register and pay installmentally to be a part of this village. It's going to be a whole lot. So you don't want to miss out on this, right? Right. So create an atmosphere of reading. Reading is key to success. There's nothing we can do about it. It is a call to overall success. It is a call to overall success. This is something that I know. A lot of the time, when we're in those spaces whereby we talk, we pass whatever it is that we know, people come and say, oh my God, wow, you find out that people learn. All of this knowledge or all of these teachings didn't fall into people's brain. People read to know about it. That's to tell you what reading does. That's to tell you that reading is called to success. Right? Children who develop love for reading will naturally develop the love for learning. That's just it. People who develop that love for reading will naturally develop the love for learning, because that's like the simplest thing you can do, just to pick a book and to read. It might not be easy because we were not programmed to do all of these things this way. But then it is something that is possible. We can retrain our, it says that the neuroplasticity in our brain can actually adapt new things, can learn new things and practice it, and it's going to become an habit. And that's exactly what we want to do, right? So, um, apart from the fact that reading actually helps children to learn vocabulary, to learn new concepts, and all of those things, we need to know that reading helps our child's brain to learn how to process concepts, and so it also helps them with formal communication. Right. So apart from the fact that a child is learning vocabulary, a child learns how to speak very well. Those of us that want our children to be able to speak excellently, to communicate fluently, and all of those things, reading is something that we need to actually give to them. And there's no parents that doesn't want that, because there's something that I have learned recently, that no matter whatever it is that your child ventures into, your child is a doctor, your child is an engineer, your child needs to be in that place whereby they are able to communicate whatever it is that they do to people. They are able to sell to people. They're able to get people to listen to them. And this is something we all want our children to have. So reading is something that is very important. We need to expose them to reading. We need to know that apart from the fact that they are learning new concepts, they are learning new vocabulary, they are speaking well, it's a way to actually help them to, it helps their cognitive development. It helps their cognitive development. Right. So this is something we want to look into. Without the ability to process concepts, a child won't be able to learn. If a child is just has something, and they can't give meaning, they can't process a particular concept, that child is definitely not learning anything. So we want to put our children in spaces whereby they are able to understand whatever it is that is being taught. Because even if they are not in that space whereby they have so much, they might not be able to process concepts. So this is something that is important. You want to expose them to lots of books. Let them read. Let them read. And what? Each time when we talk about reading for children, what you hear parents is, they don't read those books. They tear them. They do this. They do that. That's to tell us that you don't just buy books for your children, not just anyhow book. That's why you need to understand how your child learns, for you to know the types of books that you should give to them. You need to understand your child's learning strengths, for you to know the books to expose them to. And that's why this understanding your child's unique way of learning is important for every parent. If you've not registered, the details to register is scrolling here right now. You want to pick it up and you want to, register now and be in class. The first early bird offers ends tonight. By tomorrow, there's going to be an increase in it. Yes, there's going to be an increase in it. So you want to pay now, you want to register now, so that you benefit from that early bird offer. Right. So the ability to process concept for anyone is what gives them that virtual joy of learning. Right. If you're able to process concepts, if you understand whatever it is that is being said, you will want to know more. But if you're in that space whereby you don't even understand what is being said, you don't understand anything, it's going to be a problem. So you will not see a reason why you should keep learning. If anyone should come here, says everything, and you don't understand, you don't see a reason why you should learn more about whatever it is that has been spoken about, of course. Right. So it's the same thing. So the ability to actually process concepts is what actually brings that joy of learning. So you want to expose your child to it. You want to create a conducive learning environment, because children do not learn when they are not happy. And this is another thing where we miss it so much as parents. We miss it so much. We want our children to, it's not even we want our children to learn. I usually say that we just want our children to, what's the word now? We just want our children to complete tasks. That's it. We just want our children to complete their homework, to complete their assignment, so that we'll move on to the next thing. And that's why we're in that place where we're forcing, we're screaming, we're using cane, we're using slipper. So yeah, finish it right now. Oh yeah, write two. Not to know to write two again. That child is not learning. If a child is not happy, the child will not learn. So you want to create a conducive environment. I said it from the beginning that you are the first teacher of your child. You can imagine a teacher, even if it is a teacher to 5 students or 10 students, the truth is that attention is divided. There's a divided attention. Your child cannot have the full attention of that teacher, but your child can have your own full attention, because it's you ratio your child. It is you versus your child. So you are able to guide that child. But the problem is if you don't know how to guide the child, you don't know how to guide the child. So you need to create a conducive environment for your child, not the one with fear, not the one with sadness, not the one with grief of you have to finish this now. If you don't finish it, you see what I will do. So you want to create an environment whereby your child can learn. No one learns when they are not happy. It's either you are making your child learn or you are just making them to complete a task, which is of no benefit to them. You just want that child to finish that homework. Have you noticed? Is there anyone who has noticed that if you force a child to finish an assignment, or you're in that place where you use for yeah, don't you know that 1 plus 1 is 2? If you see plus, you plus it. If you see minus, you minus it. You take away, you do this. If you do all of those things, that child might finish that homework excellently. But if you call that child the next day to come and do that same sum, that child will not be able to do it. Have you experienced this before? That is to tell you that that child didn't learn. Please share with me. I love interactive sessions. I love to hear from people. You will find out that same thing, and that's where parents now start complaining. Oh, didn't we do this thing yesterday? Didn't I teach you to? That's to tell you that that child didn't learn. You just forced that child to complete a task. You didn't allow that child to learn. So this is something we want to begin to look into. No child learn under duress. No child learn under duress. Nobody. No, tell me, you have a gun pointed to your head, then someone is telling you to read something or to recite something. It's not possible. You are not going to do it well. If you do it, you are just doing it to save yourself. Not because you are doing it because you have that joy of doing it. No. This is something we want to begin to look into, right? So you want to ask yourself each time you are helping your child with an assignment or with a homework. Yes, you will get frustrated. I get frustrated also, in a way that you want to be like, oh, I told you this thing, but you want to ask yourself, you want to come back again. I've been in that place. You want to ask yourself, am I making my child learn or am I just making them complete this task? Ask yourself, am I making this child learn or am I just making this child to complete the task? If you ask yourself that question, then you will be able to control yourself and bring yourself down to your child's level. A lot of the time, yes, it happens to us. Even me as a classroom teacher, it happens. You'll be like, this thing is simple now, this thing is simple. But nothing is simple except what someone has learned. We need to know this, right? Children shouldn't be forced to learn. If you're in a place where you force your child to learn, then something is wrong with your system. Something is wrong with that system. And a child will not be able to learn in that system. A child must be taught to enjoy learning and not be forced to learn. The brain doesn't learn in an environment where force is used. And that's exactly what happens. If you look at a lot of our Islamiyas that we have today, you see so many children, you see even adults, they will tell you that they ran away from Islamiyah because they were always beating them. You will see people that, they learn some things. They know some things. They've learned a particular surah of the Quran and they know the meaning of all of these things, but they're not making use of it because they didn't learn it. They were just forced to know it. That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens. So we need to start changing these narratives. And if we do not change the narrative, we'll keep having the same results that we've been having. We'll keep having people who don't have empathy, people who don't even want to do anything for their lives. They just want to do mago and get whatever it is that they want to get out of life. So it's something that we need to look into. They should not be forced to learn. A child must be taught to enjoy learning and not be forced to learn. The brain doesn't learn in an environment where force is used. The brain doesn't learn in fear. The brain doesn't learn it. I've analyzed this in so many of our sessions like this. The brain doesn't learn it here, but I don't want to go into the jargon. We have a lot to cover. Learning should come naturally. When you force children to read or to cram, it all ends where there is no fear of force. That's where it ends. And that's why we as adults, a lot of us find it difficult to pick a book and read because there's no force. There's nobody to force us. The only time we want to pick that book again is when we have that fear of not failing a particular examination. Think about it. That's when we want to learn again. Right? So this is something that we want to look into as parents. So it's similar to what happens when you place children in front of the screen. For those of us that the screen is actually parenting for, if you place your children in front of the screen and you feel that your child is learning, this was something I learned hands-on. What my first child started reading at the age of 4. My second son, I was expecting that this child would. So there's this I've forgotten the name right now, USB that I bought. It contains so many things, the letter sound, the letter name, and all of those things. So I was playing this continuously for my second child, like, you have to learn this so that you'll be able to read fast just like your brother. But it's not true. It didn't work. What happens is that child is just going to be regurgitating They're only going to be regurgitating whatever it is that they hear. So they listen, they're just going to say it. They have not actually learned. They have not actually learned. They're just regurgitating. They're just saying whatever it is that they've heard again. Right? So this is something that we want to look into. They're just listening to it, and it makes it difficult for their brain to think. They're not going to be able to think. Children who are placed in front of screen, there are so many disadvantages of it, which we are going to be talking more about in the learning style course. Right? So the screen is just an illusion. So we don't want it. That's just what it is. So it's just mirroring whatever it is. That child is just going to be saying it back, and that child is not actually learning. Right? So you want to invest in books, both for yourself and for your children. Yes, it's not a thing of, okay, well, they have said that you should be reading or buy books. No, like we say, children model. They see, they do. They see, they do. If you carry book, read. If you take the book and read, your children will also have a reason to say they want to carry their books. And one thing about it is, once you are able to form this habit in them in a very young age, it's something that is always with them. No one is going to take it away from them. No one at all is going to take it away from them. And this helps them to be able to learn anything at all, right? So we want to invest in books, both for ourselves and for our children. You need to exemplify that joy of learning through books. Have a budget for books. Have a budget for this month, oh, this 5,000 naira, oh, while using, even if it is one book, even if it is two books, invest in books. Exemplify it for your children. Let them see that this thing is important. And that's why our parents are saying that we need to do this, we need to get this. Right? So this is something that is very important. Find out the kind of learner that your child is before you invest in books. That's another thing. So many parents will come and complain, oh, we bought these books, but they are not reading these. If you don't know how your child learns, if you don't know the learning strength of your child, and you keep buying books, they will not read the books because it does not align with them. So it's not just about buying books. I remember that there was this book I bought together for my son. It's a science book, but oh my God, he read every other book and he didn't read that book because I have found out that it was not a strength for him. Right? Well, I'm still trying to observe him, but I have noticed that the things that I feel that I thought would, catch his attention and all of those things, he didn't catch his attention. Not until when after I learned his learning strengths and his learning style, and I started buying books that actually relate to those things. So it is something that we need to know as parents. That's the only way we can be in that place whereby we help our children, right? So invest in books and come to class, right? Another thing you want to do is that you want to create a family reading time. Yes, it might be very difficult. It might be very difficult, but if you have it in it's part of the structure that we actually, will actually be building for parents who register for the membership, right? We're going to create structures whereby there's, even if it is 30 minutes of the day, whereby every family member doesn't do anything than to read. This is something that is very important. They don't have, there's nothing, we're not doing anything, we're not on our phones, even as the parents, we're not doing any other thing, but we are reading. Children are going to attach importance to it. Where every family member get book and they read. Not only your children. Remember that parenting is modeling, like I said before. If you didn't get that advantage as a parent, acquire the skill and give it to your children. Please acquire it and give it to your children. And this is why I am coming all out to say, yes, we're going to hold your hands to actually be in that place where you build these habits. When it's said that when you're in the community of like-minded people, you tend to do the same thing that they do because you don't have a choice. You read because there will be a reason why you do it. You don't have a choice. So yes, so please come into the village. Come into the village. Register to be a part of us, right? It's going to be an amazing thing. So another thing you want to do is that you don't want to use book reading as a disciplinary measure, as a punishment. We were used to hearing stuff like, so what are you doing out there? Yeah, go inside now and go and start reading your books. Have we been in that place before? We've heard something like that before. Now go inside now and go and carry your book. We use it as a form of punishment for children. What happens is that they start attaching reading to punishment. They start attaching books to punishment. And what happens when you attach it to punishment? You don't see it as something you want to do. You don't see it as something that is so important. It will not even be important because, of course, it gives you pain, it gives you hurt. So let's not be in that space whereby we attach book reading, we attach studying to what we attach it to punishing our children. When you do that, you discourage them the more. You discourage them the more from learning, right? Create an atmosphere that shows how important reading is. Create an atmosphere to show that, right? is reading a first thought or something that happens when every other thing has happened. So you want to give your children access to the world through books. This is something that I've learned. Usually we'll just read. But now, whenever it is that we want to, we want to go somewhere, we want to explore something, we first of all read. I remember, when we wanted to, make chin chin this holiday, I was like, okay, yes, let's read about it, how it is done. Your children will be able to have a bigger view of that thing. Okay, let's read about it. Let's see how it is done. Then that's like the theory. Then we go into practical. Going into practical, then children, they'll be able to relate whatever it is that they've learned into it. Like, okay, yes, this is how we want to do it. You want to travel to a particular place, you read about that place first, right? I remember that, when we wanted to go on, our family trip, we said, okay, we need to, read. We're going somewhere, we're going to a particular place, read about that place. Whatever it is, what is it? What is their food? What do they eat there? What is their culture like? And all of those things, right? You can actually, give your children the world without even leaving the four walls of your room, right? This is something that is important, right? So when you parent by yourself, it's something that actually, it limits you. But when you parent by knowledge, when you parent with like-minded people, those who want the best for themselves, who want the best for their children, you are able to explore. You are able to explore more. You're not limited into the confinement of whatever it is that you know alone, into the confines of whatever it is that you know alone, right? So you are able to explore. You are able to learn new things. You are able to do new things. That's something that happens, right? So you want to be in that space whereby you have people of like minds. You do the same thing that helps you to get to that final goal of raising children who are wholesome. This is something that is important, right? So raising a child who is a lifelong learner requires fun and not frustration. We need to know that we don't have to always be frustrated when we're dealing with our children, especially when we want them to learn. We don't have to always be frustrated. We don't have to always be in that place whereby everything is so hard, everything is so difficult. We don't always have to be there. We can be in a space whereby we're able to, we are able to make everything fun for our children. They're able to see it because we're talking about raising children who are lifelong learners, who are not just learners when they want to, get a particular thing, but who sees learning as something that helps them to thrive through challenges of life. I tell people that there are certain things that you go through, there are certain materials or resources that you go through that will help you to have that, feeling that yes, I can do this. If this person can do this, I can also do it. There are certain materials that you go through that you will be able to say that, okay, yes, this is how I can do it better. And don't forget, like we always say here, when you know better, you will do better, right? And the next one is that you want to allow your children to have a control over their learning experience. You want to allow your children to have a control over their learning experience. You need to know that the more input you are able to provide in respect to their learning environment, the more engaged and motivated that child will become to learn. So it's not just the matter of this is all that I want my child to learn. Involve them in that. Let them have a bit of control over whatever it is that they want to learn. Because what happens is that you see all of those passion, our interest, and all of those things that we start finding out when we're already adults. Children can actually find out those things early enough. They can find out early enough and start to tread on that path. They don't necessarily have to be 20 something, 30 before they find out what interests them, before they find out what problem they want to solve in the world. But if you don't allow them to have a control over whatever it is that they learn, it's something that is going to be very difficult. And the thing about it is that if you don't understand your child's learning strengths, you won't be able to allow them to have a control over whatever it is that they want to learn. Right? So your child will only learn to the extent you are able to give them control over their learning process. And the first way to give them control is to first understand how they learn, to help them create an experience that they love. Teach, older children how to study. You want to teach them study skills, which is, one of those things. It's part of the module which we are going to be talking about in the, understanding your child's unique way of learning course, right? So you want to be a part of this course. You're actually, you can't be in that space whereby you cannot continue to be with your children. So the moment your children are in, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, they need to have started learning how to study on their own. Because come to think of it, if you take your child to a boarding school, for example, the highest they can get is maybe a senior who is guiding them through, not someone who will sit with them to learn. Not someone who will sit with them, oh, they can't hold everything because they want them to complete something. So you need to train your children to be able to study on their own and learn, things on their own. But you won't be able to do this, or you struggle doing this if you don't understand what your child learn, how your child learns. And this is the one reason why you need to understand your child's learning style. You need to understand their learning strength. This is something that is very important because, for example, a lot of the time when we talk about, this is going to be the second one. The first one we spoke about the auditory learners, the visual learners. There are actually three. There are three major ones: auditory learners, visual learners, and kinesthetic learners. Right. So the auditory learners are always of advantage. Thank you so much, Mr. Kenneth Abdurrashid, for joining us. Right. So they actually have auditory learners have advantage. They have that advantage of, you one is talking, because a lot of the time teachers actually talk. That's like the traditional way of teaching. They will talk, explain. So auditory learners get it, they don't struggle. And that's why if you go and look at children that are top of their class, that are high flyers in their classes and all of those things, you will find out that they are mostly auditory learners because the system favors them. The system favors them. For visual learners are also going to struggle because they have to see whatever it is that they are learning. Visual learners thrive in maybe advanced countries, or yes, some other places, or some schools whereby they have this visual, whereby they show them whatever it is that they are doing and all of those things. They can still try, but you can't compare to auditory learners. Auditory learners are going to thrive because most teachers are actually going to teach by explaining, theory. But then those who struggle the most are actually kinesthetic learners, because kinesthetic learners, they learn by doing. They can't sit still for a long period of time and expect them to learn. They won't learn. And that's why we said that you need to create that conducive environment for your child. If you do not create it, your child is not going to learn. So you can imagine a child who is a kinesthetic learner and you don't know, and you're forcing that child to sit down from for more than hours just to study or to learn. That child will not learn. And that's why you need to understand your child. You need to understand how that child learns before you can actually say that, okay, yes, this is how this child learned, then these are the ways I can actually help this child, right? This is something that is very important. Like I said, like age 7 to 8, when your child is in grade 3, grade 4, they should actually be able to learn how to study on their own, which is what we're going to be sharing, in the upcoming course. When you help your child to understand their dominant learning style, right? So I was talking about the auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learners. You won't say because you have found out that your child is an auditory learner, then the only way you want to teach your child, or you want your child to learn, is auditory. No. Why? Because the world does not revolve around your child. Your child will meet many people, many lecturers, many coaches, many mentors, will meet many of them who have different learning style. So you need to help your child to use their dominant learning style to help them to learn with other learning styles too, visual and kinesthetic. So you won't say because your child is a kinesthetic learner, then everyone who wants to teach your child should always come with something that your child is going to do. No. So you need to help them. That's why it said you need to be in that place whereby you bring them from their strength to their weakness. They are unable to learn, audio or through visual means, right? So you want them to use that kinesthetics to still be able to learn using audio or visual means, right? So this is something we're going to be going deep into, in the learning style course, God willing, right? So you want to be a part of this, right? So this is something that is very important. We're gradually coming to the end of this session, and I think we're just going to be right in time today, alhamdulillah. Right, the last point that I'm going to be talking about is using game-based learning. Using game-based learning. You see, a lot of the time we come and complain, this child plays too much, this child plays too much. When we don't understand that it is through that play that child actually learns. Right, so you want to, for example, now kinesthetic learners need lots and lots of game-based learning approach. They need it. But then if you don't know, how do you help this child? There's no how you want to help the child, right? And you keep comparing. That's what will happen. I tell you, my first child started reading when he was 4. My second child is 5, going to 6, and he has not started reading fluently like their older brother. This is something that I have a proof of. That child has not started reading like the elder brother, but I understand that they learn differently. I understand that they have a different personality. I understand that they have a different learning style. I understand that they have a different learning strength. So I'm able to take it and, concentrate on those things that I need to concentrate on. But if you don't know, all that you do is to compare your children. And you will scare them if you do that. There's going to be enmity. That's just it. Right? So you want to use game-based learning. Using game-based learning, as an educational tool, it provides opportunity for deeper learning and develops long cognitive skills for your children. Right? Use game-based learning. And the truth is that because we don't know exactly what we want our children to learn or what they are supposed to learn, we feel that games are just a waste of time or maybe a waste of resources, or you're not reading. Go and carry your book and read. We don't know the different skills that actually come to them from actually learning through games. So it's a whole lot of things. We don't have that knowledge of what we want them to learn or what they should learn. So we don't know what to provide for them. And because of that, we give them what they don't need, like I always say, or what is supposed to be secondary. We make it primary for them, right? So you want to be in that space whereby you provide lots of games. For deeper learning, it helps them to develop that cognitive skill. It helps to motivate that child to learn. So you want to introduce lots of games to your children. Chess, Scrabbles, Legos, puzzles, beautiful things. Make things that they can actually, a lot of young children actually learn by doing. They might be kinesthetic learners. A lot of children actually learn by doing. That's why they want to pick from here to here. That's why you see children, they want to take water from one bucket and put it in another bucket. And when that water finishes in that bucket, when that bucket is empty, they'll start pouring it again. Yes, that's how they are born. That's what is innate for them. So that is something that they want to do because it's innate for them. But you want to understand, and what that does is that it helps them with their focus and concentration. I was sharing the activities that you should help with your children. I think like last 2 weeks, the holiday activities that you should do. If you missed it, you can catch up here on YouTube, or you go to our Telegram community to catch up with it. The things you should help, you'd actually expose your children to this, this holiday, right? So if you were not a part of that session, you want to go back to actually catch a replay of it, right? Legos, puzzles, right? You see, a lot of the time, the subjects that are children, a lot of children struggle with math. I also struggled with math, right? So a lot of children struggle with math, which does not even which we are not supposed to struggle with if the things were actually put in place for us, right? Let me save this information for those who register for the course, right? We'll see. So your child's learning style will determine what kind of games that you expose them to. That's another thing, right? That's what is going to expose you. Like, for example, now, a audio learner or a visual learner might, and who like words, children who like words, Scrabble is a game for them, right? Scrabble is a game for them, audio learners, right? Those who love words, Scrabble is a game that they would love to do, that they would love to engage in, right? Kinesthetic learners might, they might love chess and all of those things. And one beautiful thing about the whole of these games is that depending on the skill that you want to teach your children, that is what is going to help you to determine what game you provide for them, right? Yes, you can actually teach them lots of skills from all of these things, right? So if your children are young, this is the best time to actually be a part of us. You see, I tell parents that we need to be proactive, not reactive. A lot of us look for mercy after death. We look for medicine after death. We feel that, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with raising my children. I'm doing good. But the time those challenges now start coming, we're not equipped with the things to actually use to face those challenges. And that's what happens. Those of us who feel that my children are still very young, that a lot of parents actually complain about teenagers. My teenager doesn't listen. My teenager, because we have not set the right foundation. And that's why if you have even younger children, you should be in this space, because it will help you to guide them right from onset. It will be a foundational thing. This is something that is very important. So to register for the LLP in our tribe, aka our village, you can just register with 5,000 naira. And we're announcing this early so that parents can pay in installment. Yes, the community starts January 2026. Inshallah, may Allah spare our lives, right? So to give you that opportunity to actually, to pay in installments to find it easy for you. That's why we have done this, right? So you want to be a part of this, right? A link is going to be sent to the Telegram community this evening. So if you're not there, you should join. A link whereby you can join the wait list if you are interested in being a part of this community. It's 50,000 naira per year, right? And it's coming with a lot. Like I think I've spoken about it before. It's coming with, with master classes, with, with webinars, with daily discipline and connection tools for your children. It's coming with book reviews and all of those things. This is us holding your hand through the parenting journey. Parenting doesn't have to be chaotic. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, right? So let's go together on this journey so that we can actually parent with peace and calm, right? So a link is going to be shared instantly after this live session. Is going to be shared on our Telegram community to be a part of that wait list. If you're on that wait list, you get more information about, about the community, the things that you need to know. You get to ask questions and all of those things, inshallah. So, and we have come to the end of, today's Friday live session. It's exactly 1 hour and 42 seconds. I'm glad that we're able to finish up on time. Thank you so much for joining me, Ms. Muhammad, Ms. Amina, right, Mrs. Oladejo. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a while, but I appreciate you coming. I have 3 people here watching me on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. I would have loved to see who these people are, so I can give them a shout out, right, for joining me live on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you again next week, Friday. Inshallah, may Allah spare our lives and make us witness more Fridays. Right. Thank you so much for joining me, and have an amazing weekend. Right. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.